The following is rated S for spoilers.
That should have been much worse. Oi, Stephen, what the hell are we wearing? Don't know. She said I needed a suit. Yeah, the ceremonial armor from Concha's temple, not Psycho Colonel Sanders. Well, I don't know how any of this shit works, man. I do look sharp, though.
Hello and welcome to the Popcorn Hangover. My name is Alex.
My name is Graham.
And today we are going to be discussing Moon Knight and how it's a different kind of a Marvel hero than we've seen it in the past. Graham, how you doing this week?
Doing good, dude. Doing good. I'm excited to be back and recording, man.
Yeah. We had a pretty busy week of watching things. You know, we had some time to take away from Moon Knight and, you know, to kind of compile all of our thoughts. Yeah. And so this is going to be an exciting episode. Moon Knight was created by Doug Mensch, directed by Mohamed Diab for episodes 1, 3, 5, and 6, and then Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead for 2 and 4, starring Oscar Isaac, Ethan Hawke, May Calmaway, and F. Murray Abraham. Overall reception for this movie is a little interesting from my digging. So Rotten Tomatoes, these are all like averages from all the episodes combined. So I had an average critic score of 87% and audience score of 92. And
that's not bad.
No, yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah. And then IMDb had an 8.2 average. And then Metascore had a 69 average, which is still good.
Yeah, it's not bad, but it's definitely...
Yeah, it was, I don't know.
It's different than the other ones.
Yeah, that's why, I don't know. That's why I like to include the Metascore, because I feel like their scoring is typically more accurate. Like a lot of times they'll go outside theaters too, and they'll poll people, and that's how you get scores. But I was looking at some of the critic reviews, and it seemed like a lot of them were from people who got like the first 4 episode pass, and they just didn't finish the show, and so they gave it a negative review.
I don't know how people do that. I don't know how people start a show and just drop it.
I mean, it's fine if you don't like it. It's definitely not for everybody.
No, that's understandable.
Mm-hmm.
But
so overall, like, what were your thoughts on Moon Knight?
I enjoyed it a lot. I thought it's definitely a new kind of hero, definitely new take on everything as far as what we saw. But no, I really enjoyed watching through it. I do know a few people who kind of got tired of it through the first few episodes, and so it's just like I was pretty well caught on throughout the whole show. I feel like it definitely had a lot more story in it that I feel like some of the other shows have had. Maybe not, but it just I didn't seem to ever lose attention.
Yeah,
I never lost my grasp on the show. I was pretty well entertained.
Like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and how I just didn't care. Halfway through.
Yeah. Well, like that exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I really liked it. I think, kind of what you were saying. I think it did feel a little long, because overall it's not when you watch every episode and you have 10 minutes of credits, it's only about 5-ish hours.
Right.
So I binged it straight through the other day, and it got a little long in some spots just because they had to fill 6 episodes, but I think they did a better job than a lot of shows at least making it seem natural and putting natural obstacles in the way to keep the story going. Because in general, this is the first time we're talking about a show on the podcast.
That's true. That's true.
And part of the reason for that is I can't watch a lot of shows, because I just get bored with them. I feel like the modern era of TV has 50, every show has to have 50 billion different storylines, and I only care about 2 of them.
Yeah.
But I have to watch...
You have to watch
every episode
to get everything.
You have a show like Breaking Bad. I love that show. That's pretty old, and the entire time it's about a chemistry teacher cooking crystal meth. And there's different things happening, but it's always about that.
Yeah.
If you have a side arc, it's always in service of the main plot. But then you have, I don't know, I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but literally every other show is just all these other things I just don't care about. So I never finish it. But this one did a good job at still keeping the same story and naturally, putting obstacles in the way to keep the story going. Overall, but back to your point earlier, what you were saying with how people got bored with it. I think part of it is because we have such short attention spans that a lot of people need 50 different stories to go on to like
Right.
keep
Something's
them
new every once in a while.
right. But I also think while this show works really, really well, I thought this worked best week to week than any other Disney Plus Marvel show. But it also worked really well if you binge it straight through.
Yeah.
I think it could have worked even better if it was a movie.
Yeah.
I think
because they wouldn't have had as much like filler. Like they would have been able to get more to the point, but also probably.
And it's hard to like describe like what the issue is because there wasn't really filler. I wouldn't say, like maybe like episode 3-ish. I don't know. Things could have moved quicker, I guess, but I don't think anything was. I wouldn't define anything as filler.
Okay.
So to speak. So in terms of like episodes, is there any of them that like stick out to you?
Really? No. I mean, the first episode I liked a lot because I liked between the two going back and forth between Steven and Mark. I liked Steven's whole aspect of like, he's just a nice guy, dude. Good fella. He looked at every kind of bright side of everything too, but like also life sucked for him because he didn't know what was going on. First episode of seeing him like interact with everything, like being tied down to his bed. That was his day to day. He took off the tape off the door. He knew when he left or not, like things like that. Like I kind of liked that, like episode 1, but then also just like the way the show ended in episode 6, I liked a lot. Mm-hmm. It was, yeah, that was probably one of my
what
best
did you
episodes.
like about it?
Really just the fight scenes. It was really well choreographed, especially between the switches between like Mark and Steven's, like each of their suits and each of their, one had the daggers, one had like the batons, like things like that. Like they were able to, like, it worked so well.
Well, I think one of the things that people had issues with was the lack of Moon Knight. Like, I mean, in the first episode, we don't see Moon Knight except for like
the very
5 seconds at the very end. But I think it's one of the reasons why the last episode is so like memorable is because it's
the most
almost
really
entirely Moon Knight.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the action sequences, especially in that scene, like that was very John Wick to me. Like just the one take, like going back and forth, and then seeing how like Steven and Mark, like seeing that whole kind of story coming together in terms of how they act as Moon Knight and how they were going back and forth.
Because they both understand they're both one. Like now it's
I think my favorite moment of the entire show is whenever like Steven as Mr. Knight just beats the crap out of Harrow and then like fluffs up his suit. Like it was just I don't know. It was just so
finally got to throw that punch. Yeah.
Yes. And that's a nice little segue into our next topic of discussion is the acting in this show.
Phenomenal.
And Oscar Isaac is I have no words. It was
he was so good. Every time he would switch between one or the other, I mean, it was just
like
it's a completely different person.
Yeah, like Mark and Steven felt like two totally different people.
Yeah.
It never felt like Oscar Isaac just saying two different people's lines.
Right.
Like I feel like a lot of times when there's like a doubling or clone effect, it just seems like the same character, but just saying different words. But this felt like two distinct people.
Very different people.
Yes. And have you seen the movie Split? It has a James McAvoy and he has like multiple personality disorder.
Yeah. And
I haven't seen it, but
I think I saw the beginning of it. I actually started that. Yeah. Cause he like kidnaps the girls or whatever. No, I actually think I might have seen that all the way through. I did see that one because I know actually all of the stuff, but no, yeah. Sorry, go ahead. I
don't know. Like, I don't know. Was this reminiscent to that at all?
No, because I wouldn't really say so because in that movie, like he doesn't really control the switch between like, and he's got like, it was like 46 or something personalities all in him. And that was just like, man was like fighting between each one of them. It wasn't like, I guess like in the beginning between like when Mark was like, let me out. And like Steven's like, no, let me out. Like, let me have the body. And they were kind of going back and forth. That still even seemed a little more like, not playful, but it was just like, I don't think they realized like they could force one out of each other. And so it was just like, you gonna let me? No. Okay, crap. Like that's all it was. But that it didn't, I don't think it really had the same feel.
Gotcha. Yeah. I don't know. I thought this was in the build up to it, like when Oscar Isaac was doing press and everything, he talked about how one of the goals with the show was to show like this, because it's an actual problem that people have. Like,
Oh yeah.
but I feel like in media, it's always been portrayed either like really silly or like a Split kind of thing where it's
like psychotic and
it's psychotic. I liked how they made this. It felt normal. Like it made sense.
Not at one point was I like, dude should go get checked in somewhere. Like that never crossed my mind at all.
Yeah.
Like looking at this. But yeah, you watch like Split and you're like, yeah, he should be locked up.
Something
like,
is wrong with this
Something's
guy.
very wrong with this guy. Like this dude is literally like a sweet dude and then like a legit mercenary. So it's like, yeah, he's not okay. But also like, they did a really, really good job of, between the two characters from Oscar Isaac, but also between just the way they handled it and like did it. Dude, it was,
Yeah, it was fantastic. And then Ethan Hawke, as always,
so
did a really good job at just playing. He just always felt so creepy. Like I never knew what to think of him because he never felt evil.
Yeah.
And I think that one of the interesting things about the show too, and like
It's just like uncomfy.
yeah, it was just really, especially like with that first scene, like where he's putting glass like in his shoes, and
I don't know what that was supposed to represent, but they just never followed along with that.
Yeah,
you just
yeah,
saw like
I
him go
noticed
through the
that.
pain, I guess, and then just live life day to day.
my interpretation was because he used to be Khonshu's avatar. My interpretation was that like he's punishing himself because he can't. I feel like he's probably also has his scales can't balance because he was an avatar maybe.
Okay.
So I feel like he's punishing himself.
Trying to like even things out.
Yes, because he can't just he has to save Amit or whatever.
Yeah.
And even
And
whenever
even at
even
the
when he
end,
rescues
yeah,
Amit,
she
Amit
was
says like
you're still like
you're
failing in
evil.
one area.
Yeah, but she allows him to stay because
she's also evil. What?
yeah. So I think I think that was maybe like his own kind of punishment.
Okay.
But I've noticed just like in general, Ethan Hawke is in like everything now. I don't know if you noticed that too.
No, I haven't noticed anything.
I-
I've seen a lot of
He was in like I went and watched The Northman. Also shameless plug, a little off topic, but patreon.com/popcorn hangover. You can check out the parking lot talk where we have an episode on The Northman. So go check that out. But anyway, I was watching that movie and I was like, he came on screen. I was like, oh, that's Ethan Hawke. Like I know you're in this movie. And then like I was walking like to the movie theater. I saw a poster and I was like, oh hey, there's Ethan Hawke again in another movie.
What's he in?
He's in. I don't remember what it was. He's just in a lot of things right now. And maybe it's just one of those things where like you learn a new word and all of a sudden you see it like everywhere.
Right,
you
you
go.
hear it everywhere.
Right, maybe
you
it's
get
just,
a new car and you see it on the road everywhere.
Yeah, maybe it's not like he's not actually in anything more. I'm just noticing him more often than I'm used to. We will talk about May Calmaway a little bit later, but she did a fantastic job. And then F. Murray Abraham, I don't know, you're not very like comic book savvy when it comes to Moon Knight, right?
Me? No,
Yeah.
not at all.
So I've never like read a Moon Knight run before, but I mean, he makes lots of appearances in other characters' runs. So I'm like,
Okay.
I have a good base knowledge of Moon Knight, and I have never read Khonshu's like words
History?
in F. Murray Abraham's voice. Like I don't know. Like I thought,
did he voice Khonshu?
yeah.
Okay, cool.
As the show went on, like I was used to it, and I guess I don't know, I just got used to it. But like when I first heard his voice and when I heard he was playing it, I just I don't know, I could not
put 'em
comprehend that it
together.
was the same because that's just I never would have read Khonshu's voice
Being
that
like
way.
that
But now
deep and-
it's the only way I can hear it.
Yeah. Dude, he was great.
Yeah.
Khonshu was honest. Here's the thing that like I get Khonshu didn't have the best intentions in the show. He was one of my favorite characters. Like hands down. Like he was just dope. Like anytime he come on, I'm like, hell yeah, you're right. You're right. No, he's not, but he's right. Like, yeah, I really liked how they did.
I think that was one thing that Moon Knight almost did really, really well was the balance between the hero and the villain, both in terms of like Mark and Steven and Harrow, but then also with Khonshu and Amit. Like they did a really good job at giving, at the end of the day, both of them are right. Like people who do bad things should be punished. But the way they're going about it is where the conflict is at. And I wish that there was more, I wish that they played with that more. Cause it is really, mean, that's an interesting debate. Like,
Yeah.
if you know that Hitler's going to become Hitler, can you kill Hitler as
You kill him as a baby.
Can you
Right.
do the little thing like Rhodes did in Endgame? Like, I mean, yeah, can you kill Hitler as a baby if he hasn't actually
Done anything yet?
Yeah, that's an interesting debate. And the one thing I kind of hate about this show is I feel like this means we won't get a Civil War II storyline. In the comic books, that's what it was they find an Inhuman who can see a possible outcome, the most likely possible outcome of something. And so then you have Captain Marvel who says we should use this to
Basically
arrest the next Hitler. And you have Tony Stark saying, well, it's only a possible future. They haven't done it yet.
Right.
You can't arrest somebody over a thought of doing something bad.
In all honesty, that's like personal standpoint. That's kind of what I see things at. Yeah. Like, I don't think in the end, like, you can't just like suck the life out of someone because they could have done something wrong.
Right. Well, and that's what even Steven says it. He's like, I think about killing my boss all the time. He's like, but I would never do it.
Never actually do. Right.
So yeah, I don't know. I wish they would have played with the morals a little bit. I think that's why like Killmonger and T'Challa were such good villains, was because they both agree that Wakanda needed to go out into the rest of the world, but their
motives were different.
Yeah, their ideologies and their morals were, and the way they wanted to go about that was totally different. So I wish I would have played that more. But overall, I really like Moon Knight. Where would you place this of all the Marvel shows? Where would you rank this at?
Loki is like, I'm still kind of between WandaVision and Loki. I just loved WandaVision. That was just fun to watch. I absolutely loved that show. Like, it's good and bad. Like, I love that show. That's probably still my number one. Loki's definitely number two. This could easily be probably top three.
I think this is.
I'd probably say number three for me.
I haven't thought about this much. I think I'm in the minority, and like my favorite was Hawkeye, just because I've always liked Hawkeye, and I thought that show was a lot of fun.
See, here's the thing though. When I think back on the shows, literally besides Falcon and Winter Soldier, I was literally just now being like, what else came out? Like, Hawkeye was great. It was fun to watch. It just didn't stick up there for me.
I don't know. Hawkeye, I don't know what it was about it. I understand people's like complaints and everything. I just really liked it. Yeah. And that's all I'd say about that.
I don't have any complaints about it. It's just like I said, it's just
like I couldn't tell you why. I just really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But I think that might be my number one. This might be number two for me.
Yeah.
Might.
So where does Loki sit?
I don't like Loki as much as most people.
Really?
I don't know. I think it's the only show I haven't gone back and watched the entire thing like a second time. I just watched it from week to week. So maybe if I watched it again, I would like it more. But that was one where I just felt like it went on way too long. I just wanted them to get to the point. It felt like it was 5 episodes, so that they could have the last like 6 episodes just be a massive monologue setting up the greater MCU.
Right.
I don't know.
That's fair.
I enjoyed it. I've enjoyed every Marvel show so far. Like, there's none that I dislike.
Falcon Winter Soldier.
I mean, Falcon Winter Soldier, I don't love. I wouldn't say I don't dislike it. It's just something has to be the worst, and that is without a doubt at the bottom of the list.
That's fair.
It's kind of like Thor: Dark World. It's not a bad movie. It's just
someone's got to be the last.
It's just someone has to be last, and it's also not good. So it's that's just how the cookies crumbled, and this time.
Did you see that thing that Benedict Cumberbatch auditioned to play?
I did see
the
that.
Dark Elf, like whatever his name was, in that movie, and he almost took it, but then he like
Malekith,
then he like didn't. And I'm so glad
he probably read
didn't.
the script.
Yeah, probably.
Imagine a world without Benedict Cumberbatch as
no
Dr.
one else
Strange.
could play him. I don't think anyone else could play him. But then again, like, we got Reed Richards as Mr. Fantastic. I'm just so glad.
Yeah, Reed Richards, Mr.
That's
Fantastic.
still going to be my high for the next like probably 4 years. Easy.
You meant John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah, John Krasinski. Shoot, Reed Richards. Yeah, nothing new there.
Yeah, I really liked it. Moon Knight was a lot of fun.
So good.
Yeah, when we come back, we are going to talk more about Moon Knight, and we're going to kind of dive into what makes us a new kind of Marvel hero, and some of the things that we would like to see Marvel do that might be similar. So stay tuned.
Dude, I'm so glad we're doing this.
Yeah, for sure. It's been a lot of fun, and it's not as difficult as I thought it would be.
No, not at all. Like, Anchor has made it especially easy when it comes to like actually getting our podcast out on the air.
Mm-hmm.
Because when hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on all the listening platforms. So easy getting it over to Spotify, getting it to Apple, wherever you're trying to get your podcast to.
Yeah, I think we're on like 7 platforms just through Anchor, and not even just the distribution, but even just creating the podcast. Like there's so many recording and editing tools within it, so you can record, edit, add music in, sound effects, all sorts of things directly through Anchor, and it is free.
Dude, that's amazing.
It's incredible. So if you would like to start your own podcast, just like ours, go to anchor.fm on your desktop device, or you can go on to your mobile app store and download the Anchor app. All right, and welcome back to the Popcorn Hangover. Today we are talking Moon Knight. And it is a new kind of Marvel hero. So let's dive into this a little more. We kind of give our thoughts. I think you would agree. Like Moon Knight was a very different show, and just overall, was just a very different, different kind of style. And I think that's for a few reasons. Number one is the tone of the show wasn't. I don't think it's totally unique to the MCU. It was darker. I think
very emotional.
It was very emotional, yeah. I don't know. Have we had any MCU type things that dealt with mental illness before?
As far as I can tell,
maybe Punisher, but I don't know if that really counts as
that.
an MCU. I also didn't watch it in Punisher,
Nice.
but I know.
This.
I know
history,
I know who
what
he
it
is.
should have.
Yeah. Let me rephrase that. I hope that they talked about mental illness a little bit in that show. I don't know. I thought the tone of this was really, really new and really fresh.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Go back to mental illness. Tony Stark kind of dealt with drunkenness and stuff.
I say the only thing I could think of there, Wanda and her
Bucky.
kind of stages grief. Yeah, Bucky re-entering the world, kind of a thing.
But I feel like those have always just been plot points.
Part of the character.
Yeah, it's just and I feel like it's never been tackled. It's never been the central
really
idea
been shown,
of,
I was gonna say
of the project.
Yeah.
So it was different in that regard, but I think it was just darker in general.
Yeah.
It reminded me. I think it's interesting that this came out at the same time as Multiverse of Madness with how much blood that there was.
That's what I was gonna say. I liked it. It felt like it's just anytime it's a little more realistic, a part of me enjoys it. I don't like when things are kind of watered down. So this was definitely, and that's the thing is I definitely didn't expect that at all coming from this. What was it the first or second episode when they're fighting he's fighting those dudes in Egypt on the rooftop, the third episode I think maybe.
Yeah, third episode.
And and you just see kind of knives everywhere, blood's everywhere, and then he blacks out and there's just blood and bodies everywhere. And I was
which
whoa.
I think was a brilliant way to use the whole switching personalities thing, because if they were to show him stabbing and blood gushing out, that would be R, but just red stuff on someone's face and hands.
I don't know how that got
that
there.
may or may not be blood, so you can make a PG-13. I thought that was a brilliant use of that. Whereas in Multiverse of Madness, things were happening, and then all of a sudden there just happened to be blood on Wanda or whatever. So I thought this was I thought it was using the blackouts was a really clever way to just tell the story, but B to use
be able to include a little more,
be more graphic and more violent without being more graphic and more violent.
Yeah.
It was super dark. I take it back. It wasn't super dark. It was a lot darker than normal. I also thought this was a bit of a step away from the Marvel formula, in terms of structure. Specifically with the shows, I feel like for the most part, every show has had kind of an identity, and then we're talking about WandaVision again. Now we talk about this, I feel in every other episode, but you have all of these sitcom episodes, and then all of a sudden it's just, oh wait, we need a third act fight scene. Quick, let's make another Vision so Vision can fight someone, or it was very formulaic. Whereas with this, for the most part, I think was very different. And I think you can I had some pretty controversial opinions. We're talking about the show as a whole, but if you want to hear some of our thoughts on individual episodes, follow us on TikTok at the Popcorn Hangover, where I did nightly immediate reactions to it.
Got some good content on there, dude.
Great content on our TikTok. But they were a lot of fun to do, but my thoughts for episode 5 were apparently very controversial. I did not realize that. It's one of our most watched TikToks because people just like start destroying me in the comments because I was not a major fan of it. It's also the highest rated episode of them all. Was I think on IMDb it had like a 9 rating. That's when we're like in the psych ward, like going through the due and everything. I mean, it was a good episode. Don't get me wrong. My problem was the first 4 episodes are very like Indiana Jones. Yeah, I'm pretty sure even when they were pitching the show to Feige, I think what they said was we want like Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Which they kind of got the idea with the whole like Stephen Grant like movie poster.
Yeah, they even like when they went full in with that. Yeah,
which was so fun.
And the first 4 episodes, I feel like are very Indiana Jones like adventure-y kind of thing. But then 5 and 6 were just totally different stylistically. Oh, 100%. Like they were just completely different shows. It felt like a completely different show. But I think it still worked in the grander narrative. It still made sense. Because like we said, like while it was kind of themed after Indiana Jones or I don't know, modeled after an Indiana Jones type thing, it at the end of the day, the core value and the core goal of this was to kind of tackle mental illness and this whole dual personality disorder. So I'm okay with it. The one thing I still just don't quite understand is the whole asylum mind thing. In episode 5, it made sense because they were like in the afterlife, but then it came back in episode 6 when they're alive again.
So and I think we kind of talked about it. That I saw it as that's in real life. Okay, they fight Harrow and Amit in the temple little area wherever they're at in the pyramid. And at the end, like Moon Knight's either about to kill him or no. And he's like, if you want to kill him, you kill him. Khonshu's not going to kill him. So I'm pretty sure they literally just like took him to like jail. And because he couldn't.
So I know what you're talking about. Yeah. We'll get back to that in a second. You're talking about the post-credit scene, right?
Yes.
I'm talking about, and still in the show, Mark and Steven wake up in the asylum in episode 6.
And all the other people are there.
And like he's talking to Harrow and he's like, wait, is this a dream? And then Harrow's like, his feet are bleeding as he walks. And then he's like, I don't like that diagnosis. I'm going to go save the world. And then, I didn't understand the mix of that as well as like the mix of like I get it might have been like Steven's view of the afterlife and his like little bridgeway, walkway to his purgatory, whatever. But like all the, like, what was with all the other people being there? Like in that bingo room? Like just people in his life? Well, so the one scene was like all the people that he killed.
No, I know that, but so like there was in the very beginning, you had like his museum boss like in the chair, like Steven's museum boss in that chair. You had like one of the.
Well, I think the thought process was to do a total,
just like absolutely,
like just to confuse the audience was to be like, these are all characters. Okay. Like I saw, there's a popular like fan theory that Harry Potter is like that, where it's all like Hogwarts is actually a psych ward and like all these characters and things are actually people OT? Like in. It's a really cool theory. You should look it up. It's a lot of fun to like think about. But
I've only ever seen the first 3 of those, so I don't know much else.
Okay. We're going to have like a running tally of how many times I've kicked you off the podcast because this is added to it.
It's been close,
yeah. I don't know. I don't really get. I understood the psych ward in episode 5, but they had to kind of have some conclusion to it in episode 6 and didn't make sense. On second viewing, the mid credit scene, I do agree. I think that was the real world.
Where Jake walks in and actually just pulls him.
I don't know. I can see it both ways. I think it makes more sense for it to be real world. So you're right in that regard. One of the other things I noticed when I was watching the show through like episode back to back was this felt lower budget, and I tried looking, I couldn't find anything. And Disney Plus is annoying, or Disney in general is annoying, and they won't give us any numbers for
garbage.
For like shows? Who's watching the shows. Yeah. Okay. I would love to see like, drop offs and everything, but they just don't let us do that. So I don't know. That's one thing that in general, I just don't understand with these shows is how they're making money. Like, I understand if enough people are spending like $10 a month or whatever, sure, but like we have one account that pays $10-15 a month,
Yeah.
and then there's 5 of us that are watching on. I cannot comprehend how
Can't do
these
the
shows are
math.
profitable, and I just want to know how many people are actually watching,
I
how
think-
many new subscribers are coming.
I think if we had those numbers, it would only really show the effect of they're getting their money because of the way they're dropping their shows. I know we kind of briefly spoke about how they drop one at like the middle of the month. So you pay for the month of April, and to watch the finale in May, you're going to pay for another month of May.
But wait,
Same thing
Obi-Wan starts in May too. So
right, so you got to watch the first
you
2
have to-
episodes there, but then to watch anything else,
If you want to finish,
I got to
you
pay
have
for
to
June again.
Yeah.
Right. And I know people who do that where they'll pay for the 2-3 months they need for those 5-6 episodes, and then they won't
It's just crazy.
for the another year. I know, because there's content coming out all year, but still, I think that's kind of how they get it, is just because, yes, you'll have your average family that has 4 or 5 watchers on one account, and they allow that, which is awesome. But I think they get the majority from like everyone else.
I just don't understand why they have to hide their numbers. It's fine. Just show us.
Yeah.
Netflix revealed their numbers and their stocks plummeted, but that's,
Netflix sucks.
I like Netflix, so.
Don't.
But I don't know. I feel like as a whole, that was a really long like side tangent, but
Yeah.
as a whole, I felt like the show just seemed lower budget, especially with CG, particularly in the first episode. There were a lot of moments
Yeah.
where it looked a little rough.
Definitely.
And throughout, I think there were moments where it just, if this were a movie and we're given, the
movie budget, that it might have had.
multi-millions of dollars to make it, we would have seen more like, for example, just background CG in general just felt rough throughout. But then like in episode 2, there's a fight sequence where Steven becomes Mr. Knight, and then it was a cool sequence, and I didn't think about it until someone brought it up to me, but like, did they just make the dog invisible so they could save money on post-production
CG
costs?
effects, yeah, you don't have to pay for it.
I think it was a cool sequence to see like them fighting an invisible monster, and like you have to use your imagination to see it. But even in the first episode, it seemed like it's the same like jackal monster, and you don't really see it in full.
Right.
So I don't know, was that like a scare tactic, or was it
I think
let's save a couple dollars?
I think it was, in the end, I bet it saved them money. But I honestly think that just the way they used the jackal was like, just to be able to show like, kind of like the trippy detail between like what Steven and Mark see versus like what the world sees. But even though, because like the world still like interacts, like that car hits that jackal, and that car is like straight totaled. They literally hit nothing.
They have no idea
from
what-
their eyes. They hit nothing. Their car just got crunched. Like, or you just see Steven get thrown into a bus. You just see a man fly through the air. Like, you can't see anything. So I think that was kind of the weird thing of like the world still, or I think like a good like eye into the world's view, because like we understand all this is going on, but like you really don't see like just the average person on the sidewalk being like, oh, something's going down, but just no, like some dude's just getting beat by nothing.
Right.
So I think it was just that. But yeah, definitely probably saved him money.
Yeah, that's fair. I also think, so when I first saw it, I thought it was supposed to be like the classic like horror element. An element of creating horror is to not show the monster like in Jaws. You don't see the shark until the very end of the movie. And it's kind of, I don't know, we're taking a couple steps backwards here, but to go back to like tone, like this did a really good job at like introducing horror elements.
Oh yeah.
Especially in episode 4.
I was about to say that, dude. Was that the one with the?
That's the one they go into the pyramid.
Yeah, that dude is clicking his tongue.
Yes.
That was horrible.
That was terrifying.
Man, gutted that dude on the table. I was like, wow, they really pushing their PG-13. Like,
Yeah, especially for someone like me
PG-14,
who
whatever
watches these he stays up till 2 a.m. to like when they drop to watch it. Like it's late at night, all the lights are off, and I'm just like, oh. And like
I
even
didn't see that. I didn't hear that.
or like again, I mean, it's another time that they did this exact same thing was
Right.
when the lady was like crossing the chasm, and like
Dude, thing pulls her in from behind.
Yeah, we don't see the monster or how she's fighting the monster. It's just pitch black.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the skeptic in me says it was probably a budget issue, but if it was really creative way of like
100%
of taking the budget you have and putting the money where
it's needed,
where it's worth, and then saving.
I was gonna say one thing too. Like I feel like for his suit, like we've seen some tough CG things when it comes to like people flying, people like suits and things like that. I feel like his suit didn't ever lack any. I mean, there's a few times he was like through the air, you'd see his cape, you'd see like little things that weren't like
They were
the greatest.
When the suit was practical, yes. But I feel
that's
like
true, 'cause
when
the whole
was
thing
CG,
wasn't-
it was like when we first
when
see
he
the suit,
suits up, it looks horrible.
or like when we first see the suit, I don't think anything in that sequence was practical. I think all of that was
Everything
CG,
was
and it
clear,
looks
It looks
garbage.
Yeah, you could tell.
I don't know. I say that. Here's the thing: like when we talk about these Marvel projects, I think the thing to keep in mind is when we say something's bad, like for most people, it's probably good, but like just my expectations for Marvel are the bar is set a lot higher for
way higher
for the MCU
because we know what they can do.
Like it looked fine, but I would expect I could tell it was CG. I'll put it that way. But yeah, I think just all those elements like there, it was just this was a really creative show,
dude. It was so fun.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think one of my biggest issues with Disney in general and the way that they've been trying to move with the times is how they deal with representation. And we've talked about before, like just the ridiculous girl power scenes, or they introduced Finn as like this cool male black lead in a Star Wars movie, and then they gave him nothing to do.
Had nothing at all.
Like they've really struggled, but I think this was them hitting the nail on the head in like every aspect. Having Egyptian like cast and crew, and I think they learned this from Black Panther with like having Ludwig Göransson isn't African, but like he actually went to Africa and he sampled sounds and he worked with Bob Amal, and that's how he got such. I think Black Panther has the best score of any Marvel movie.
100%.
I could listen to that soundtrack, just soundtrack meaning like the actual like score, just for fun, because it's so good. But like, I forget who composed the music for this show, but he is Egyptian. I do know that, and you can definitely like see like you can hear those sounds and things that.
Bro, the
like we as Americans just aren't used to.
Yeah, the credit song, so good, dude.
All of it was so good.
Yeah.
It really does make a difference when people that we aren't seeing on screen. I don't like saying representation. Like it is important to have representation, like in directors and everything, but like
for sure,
we need different perspectives other than the straight white male, and I think Marvel's starting to figure that out with shows like this that are very. I mean, half the show takes place in Egypt, and I feel like it didn't feel. It was for starters. It wasn't all orange,
right?
Like I know it's Mexico, or I know it's the desert because the entire screen is like orange. Like that's not how things look.
Yeah,
it looks the same.
Right.
So I think that was a big aspect, but I think another thing they did. I think it's the best way they've done it so far was like the female side character, and I mean we're both dudes, so we're the least qualified people to talk about this, but
definitely one thing I can say, though, she didn't really feel too much like a side character. She did in the beginning when she's first introduced, because that's how she feels introduced as, but like honestly towards the end, the last like really just those last two episodes, like she felt like a main.
I feel like if this were made 10 years ago, she would have felt like a pointless character who was there to be saved
for sure
by Oscar Isaac, but I feel like she was saving Oscar Isaac more often than than not. I don't know. I thought May Calloway was brilliant in this show, and I was really worried about her at the start because there isn't a character named Layla in Moon Knight
in the comics and the lore.
So initially, like in his actual origin story, the origin is pretty much the same. Where he was a mercenary, he was on an archaeological dig site. I forget the guy's name, but the big bad terrorist dude was like,
kill them all.
That he was working for was like, hey, let's kill these guys. And Mark was like, let's apparently not do that. And one of the people that he was able to save was this girl named Marlene, and her dad was murdered. Yeah, just like Layla was in this show.
Yeah.
And like,
okay.
And I mean, there's no big massive difference. Like Marlene was just this was in like the 60s, so she was your blonde damsel in distress that you're used to.
Right.
So I was worried that like I was just confused as to why they called her Layla, not Marlene.
The only thing I can think of like is there no like Layla in the comics?
As far as I'm aware, there is there's no Layla, but like,
Well, is there a Scarlet Scarab?
so
character
yeah,
in the
that's what I'm getting
comics?
to. There is a Scarlet Scarab.
Okay.
It's not a female.
Not
It
a-
is.
Oh,
It is.
wow.
It's basically the Egyptian Captain America. Like during World War II, there was a super soldier
Sick.
serum. He became the Scarlet Scarab. He was incapacitated for a period of time, and now he's back.
Okay.
Like he's literally the
Yeah.
Egyptian Captain America. But like, so like,
Okay. But it's just not Layla.
it's not Layla. So I appreciate that they did find a good way to mix all of these characters, and that's why at the end of the day I'm cool with them with her being called Layla or whatever,
Yeah.
and like her being her own character, because we got the Scarlet Scarab and we got the Marlene origin, and like
Right.
we got all the different aspects that we should be getting in a Moon Knight show, but
They switched up a little.
yeah, they just switched up a little
Yeah.
bit, which, and we probably should have talked about this earlier. I meant to. I think one of the biggest negative receptions that I've seen are from Moon Knight diehard fans, who are very upset that this is not how Moon Knight is in the comics at all. Like,
Yeah.
Stephen Grant is not an idiot. Stephen Grant is actually like an upper class, like he's a very classy guy. Like that.
Like a
That's his
Kingsman
thing.
guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like I think that's why in the show they made him Mr. Knight, like with the suit, was because that's kind of
His
how he is.
background.
But like that's not how it works in the comics either. Like in the comics, the Moon Knight is a personality on its own. So like there's no switching between the Moon Knight suit and the Mr. Knight suit. That's not
It's
a
just
thing.
Moon Knight is Moon Knight. And
Moon Knight is Moon Knight. Whoever, if Mark's in charge, if Steven's in charge, it's always Moon Knight. It's still the same hooded figure. There's no. It's like a lot of people were pissed about Mr. Knight and the way they handled it.
That's crazy.
I thought Mr. Knight was
Yeah.
fantastic. I loved how they did this, and I think that's something we can kind of talk about a little bit. Was like one thing that they've been doing is creating new takes on these characters, right? Like they've taken the source material and they kind of use it more as a reference than something that should be taken.
Which that completely explains why everything goes on in 616 Earth line, right?
Let's not get on this tangent again. It should not be called 616. It is.
So they literally just got rid of everyone that's always in the entire history of these movies been like, it's not comic accurate. Dude, you could have been like the MCU, the actual cinematic universe. It's 673.
I just think it's a waste. It's a perfect opportunity. It's a perfect opportunity to like cross them over and then make a ton of money.
100%. You could have opened so many more doors.
But
Besides that, yeah.
But maybe that's just me. Let's go back to representation because we kind of
got off topic.
We kind of got off topic there.
That happens a little bit.
Because we were talking about Scarlet Scarab, right? And like, I thought the way that they handled that with Layla was really cool. Like, because I mean, he's like a Captain America kind of figure.
Yeah.
So like, seeing anyone can be
Yeah.
induced with super soldier serum or whatever, but like, and this isn't really the case in this scenario, but like,
She just got an ancient hippo put inside of her.
yeah,
Yeah.
just another Tuesday, But I don't know. I loved her suit. Like, I loved how
It was cool.
it was Like, it was practical.
Yeah.
Again, like Black Widow has to wear like extremely tight like
Yeah.
latex all the time. Come on.
This wasn't that.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
wasn't that. It looked super cool.
Yeah.
And I was also like, when I saw it, I was like, whoa. And I saw the scarab like on like her belt. And I was like, wait, is Scarlet
Yeah.
Scarab? And I freaked out because it didn't even look like the suit. But you were kind of talking about like, you were confused why she had wings.
Yeah. Well, and I get because she's the Scarlet Scarab.
Right.
I know the Scarab's it's got wings. It's got wings. But like, and I mean, I guess like in all defense, like when you look at Khonshu's a literal skeleton with a staff. So
I mean, he's a bird and Moon Knight doesn't have wings.
yeah, but that's what exactly. But I'm just also like your avatar it's a hippo.
Yeah.
You got a hippo. She was like, sweetie, come here, be my little hippo person
the
in real life.
wings
So
were
she's like,
cool.
cool. And then she's like, wings. And I was like, whoa. And like, I saw her come out in a different fit. And I was like, oh. I was like, that's the hippo style. And she's just wings. And I was like, what the heck? I literally was so thrown off for a second. I was like, that doesn't make sense. But
I agree it doesn't make sense. This is one of those scenarios where I'm just like, it was cool. and
Yeah.
so I'm just gonna give him a pass because it was pretty badass.
Yeah.
Or even like, I used to like really hate when they would do the whole like in this the whole line of like, oh, are you an Egyptian superhero? But like, I don't know, something about maybe I'm just changing as a person or something.
Right.
But like, I don't know. I thought it was a cool moment. So
It
like,
was definitely dope.
and it was handled well enough to where yes, we're gonna make a point about it, and then we're just gonna move on. Like,
Yeah.
we don't need to spend an entire episode.
Right. Like, I
talking
think
about
they
how
did
she's an
so good.
Egyptian superhero.
Yeah. Well, especially just with like the little girl. When she came out, she's like, "Are you?" What did she say? She
I think she literally said, "Are you an Egyptian superhero?"
I can't even remember if it was like female related or Egyptian superhero related. It was one or the other. And I was like, I was watching with my wife, and she was like that. She's like, dude, she's like, that made the whole show for me. She's like, that was so cute, and she's like, that was like a really good way of just like they added it in, but they didn't have like a whole like, here's 12 girls, superhero girls lined up for no reason, like in like Endgame. Like it wasn't a whole thing for 10 seconds on screen. It was literally. That was it, and it was so good.
Yeah, like that's how we should be handling representation.
100%.
In my totally expert opinion, that
Yeah.
totally understands everything. I don't know. I hope that Disney kind of learns from the way that Moon Knight handled representation and continues to do it. Like
I liked one thing they did too. So like when Khonshu and like all the gods, like when they're trapped in those little like stone things. Apparently those stone things are like legit. They have those in like museums for like their spirits and like like I didn't know that. I got I have no Egyptian like history. I don't. None of that fits in here.
I mean, I can pretend to, but all of it comes from Rick Riordan. Chronicles.
That's funny.
That's about it.
That's dope. But no, I saw a TikTok of this kid who literally was like at a museum and he saw like Khonshu's like little like spirit. I can't remember what they named it, what they said it was. And he was like, yo, like a million likes, I'll like smash this thing for Khonshu. And I was like, bro, like that's kind of funny, but also like I didn't know they had those. Like I didn't know that was like historically you're like Egyptian like accurate.
I also like how they handled like the whole afterlife conversation, and we're very clear. Like there's tons of different afterlives. Like I've heard the ancestral plane's pretty cool. And I was like,
love that. Yeah,
that was a really cool way of, especially like with Love and Thunder coming up, and like there being lots of Greek gods and Norse gods. Like I like how that was a really great, just quick one-liner to sum up all of it.
Everything that's going on.
These can all exist in the same universe. And you go whatever you believe. I guess I don't know. I thought that was I was not expecting logic like that to just be quickly thrown out there. But it was a really cool. It's just a quick little tidbit.
Dude, I loved the hippo. She came out. She's like, "Oh, I got papers on this." She's like throwing notes out. I was like, "Dude, it's like that was."
It's been a while since we've had a soul come through here.
Had two of you,
which was also like super clever because like no one believes in an Egyptian god, so obviously like they don't have people coming through anymore, which is why she was excited. I don't know. It was so clever and it was so creative. I think so far we talked about this a little bit last week with Doctor Strange. WandaVision and Doctor Strange, WandaVision in general was like the first time that we've seen the TV shows kind of have a direct effect on the movies, which I think in general the movies are, I think you made a point too in an earlier episode where like movies are seen as like the real thing and the shows are kind of like
just an extra. Yeah,
it's just kind of there. And WandaVision was the first show that kind of bridged the gap between the two, and I think we can agree that it didn't do it so well.
Right.
This show, however, kind of fit into a second category where like
it didn't tie into anything.
Self-contained. Yeah, this is literally did not tie. Like
it's amazing.
I was watching it for the second time through. Like, did I miss something? Like, there is not a single reference to anything.
Yeah.
The only reference I can find is that people don't like freak out when the sky is like
turning purple or something. Yeah.
Which
when the stars
when half the universe was just gone, like the sky going backwards, just like just another Tuesday, I guess. Like,
yeah.
So, do you like this format or like? Because I feel like we have like WandaVision has an effect on the greater MCU. Loki is presumably going to have a greater effect on the MCU. But you have like Hawkeye and Moon Knight. Like, do you like that? Do you want the shows to keep kind of that format where it's self-contained, or would you prefer?
See, I'm not sure. Honestly, I'm kind of one of the fans where like I'll take whatever you give me. I'm not really going to complain too much. But seeing how they did have everything set up from the first movies up to how every movie tied into another that led to another that led up to Endgame. Like that was the whole Infinity Saga, phase 1 through 3. Like with the way they started phase 4, I mean, besides WandaVision and Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, like nothing really ties in. Nothing really sets up anything either. Like that's one thing.
Well, it feels like it's only setting things up, but like for itself.
Right. That's why I'm like, I don't see like a greater end to some things. And in all honesty, I was just like, I don't see it as like a concern, but it's definitely one of those where like I don't mind this form of content where it's all self-contained because it's new, it's content. I'm going to enjoy it regardless. But I don't know. I personally like when they throw a little cameo in there, when there's a little tie into some things. So like, if they don't have to have everything like as connected, like really like, this is going to probably be the stupidest thing out of my mouth today, but like the way they really did, like how they had like Daredevil and then like Jessica Jones came out and then like Luke, before the whole Defenders came out on Netflix, and it was just like their 4 like first seasons. I think Daredevil, maybe Jessica Jones.
Daredevil had 2.
Yeah, at the time, like I liked it because they all existed together and they hinted at each other too, but like nothing, they were all their own pretty well self-contained, but they were like all right around each other. That's kind of how I feel like they're going to set up phase 4, where it's like, yeah, you had his little show, you had his movie, they tied into here and here, but then you had this, and then they'll just like give us secret words. Like they'll just do something like,
yeah,
that's kind of what I feel like the path they're going to go. But again, I don't really mind it.
Yeah, I don't think that's stupid idea at all. I think I actually like that idea because, yeah, I mean, with the Netflix shows, like you had Luke Cage was in Jessica Jones as like just a random character that had showed up.
Right.
But yeah, like I kind of like that idea of just let's just reset kind of. Let's introduce all these new characters and things like that.
Right.
And then yeah, at some point.
And I mean, like in the beginning too, that's kind of how like with phase 1, like you got Iron Man and you got Captain America, you got their movies, and then that led to the Avengers, which then led on to more. But I mean, like still, but kind of like I think you said in the last one we recorded. At this point in like phase 1, we already knew what was coming with the Avengers. Like we had tie-ins. Like now we have all this content, and it's great content. Bro, where are we going with this?
Yeah.
Like we have no real sense of direction besides like, hey, the multiverse exists now, and someone's gonna mess it up in one show or in one movie. Like it's gonna happen. Like.
So to follow that up, like, would you like more stuff like Moon Knight where
Yes,
it's seemingly just has no, it's just
then I don't have to worry how it's going to tie in. I don't know how.
That's
I don't have to worry about how Moon Knight might unleash all the gods and then the multiverse collapses again. Like I don't have to worry about that.
Maybe that's why like Moon Knight and Hawkeye were so fun.
It's because they just didn't relate to some catastrophic event, and like I like that too because here's the thing: if some new Avengers shows up or whatever the plan is, let's pull Moon Knight in. Oh, sick! I get to see Moon Knight again.
Or we're like
that's.
I keep thinking like, let's say Moon Knight never connects to anything, but like there's a portal scene, and like we can just like see Moon Knight like walk through.
Exactly.
Like that,
exactly. Like that would be just a fun time. Like if I can see the character again, for sure. I don't need him to be in every single movie.
Yeah.
Because like I said, like I'm a sucker for cameos. I like the little quick drop-ins, the little flashes with these characters when they introduce new characters. But I don't need a Civil War in every single content, every single piece they drop.
I mean, Avengers 2.5.
Right, 2.5. Yeah, like that's the thing. And like even with like Shang-Chi, like the very end credits scene, like it was fun to see like Captain Marvel and you see like Hulk or like Banner, like you see all them. But like even then with that one scene, like I feel like there was a lot there that was like they gave it to us, but like for what reason?
Yeah, like how is Bruce Banner back to being a normal
exactly
human?
Yeah, exactly. It's just I feel like they're giving us way too much without any tie-in, and I feel like I feel like for some people they're gonna lose a lot of people.
I agree. I think they are gonna lose people, especially because like with an inconsequential show like Moon Knight, if you're a fan of the movies, because I think a lot of people are just fans of the movies, but like, and you don't have Disney Plus. You don't need to watch Moon Knight to understand what's happening. Yeah. Whereas you kind of need to watch WandaVision to really understand what's happening.
Watch a couple episodes. What if? Like, I mean, not really a couple, just like one major one. Like, I had people at work asking me too, and I was like, they're like, oh, I'm going to see the movie, The Multiverse of Madness, when it comes out. I'm like, cool. I'm like, have you guys like seen this show? They're like, no, we don't have Disney Plus. And I'm like, it's not going to ruin your experience.
Like a quick recap video,
but you should.
Something.
Yeah, I'm like, that's the thing is like, kind of back to their subscriber poll, like. I feel like some people are going to go watch these movies, have no idea what's going on, and then they might buy Disney Plus and watch it. Like they might catch up, but also like I think no matter what movie comes out, if it's got Marvel's name on it, people are gonna see it.
I actually saw a meme, I think today, where it was like, it just had different like movies, like posters of just random stuff. And they're like, here's how we could fix these movies. And they just put the Marvel logo on it. And it was like, she put the Marvel logo on it. We're going to tell people that they
There was
have
one
to
about
watch
like
it to
Northman
understand.
and one was like,
Yeah,
I saw that.
Like we just need to tell people that they need to watch all the other stuff to understand what's going on. And then they'll go see the movie and it's going to make millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And I was like, unfortunately, that's the world we live in.
Yeah.
But that's part of why we have the podcast. So
Well, it's like, did you ever see that Ethan Hawke did like a interview, and I saw a clip, I think it was like on TikTok or like YouTube or somewhere. He was like just like chilling in this interview, and someone asked him about like how like his take on like the way like people drop movies in theaters and people like how they do everything. And he was like, he was really like, he seems like such a chill dude. I would just love to like talk with him like at some point in life. Like that would be so fun. But he was literally like, he's like, everything is seen as a competition. Like he's like, 20 years ago, no one gave an F about box office numbers. No one really gave an F about the Rotten Tomatoes score. He's like, who the hell came up with that? He's like, why come up with that? He's like, someone could release a movie, you go see it. If you liked it, great. If you didn't, great. Go see the next one that comes out. Like,
yeah, I mean, Shawshank Redemption is looked at as one of the greatest movies of all time. Like,
is that number one on IMDb?
it's number one on IMDb's
Yeah.
top 250.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like, if someone says that they don't like Shawshank Redemption, then like they need to be checked into a psychiatric ward. Like, you don't have to love it, but like everyone likes that movie, and it was a box office failure. Like it was a flop.
Right. But it was still a
Because it's
great
called
piece
the
of...
Shawshank Redemption. Like, what is that? Yeah, it's still. So yeah, I don't know. That's like looking at everything everywhere all at once. Like that was when we released that episode. It didn't do amazing, but then as we released like clips and we started telling people about it, that episode skyrocketed.
Yeah.
And I've seen people have been coming up to me and asking me about it. Like that's part of why we have the podcast, is to kind of broaden people's perspectives.
Right.
Even though we have talked about MCU projects for the last
Wasn't
episodes.
that one of like the first few movies like to ever like, it didn't lose any money after like two
Yeah, it had a 0%
weekend.
drop off a few
was
weeks
insane.
ago, which is crazy.
Good for them, man.
Another side note, Multiverse of Madness, I suppose, is projected to have like a 70% drop off this weekend, which is the biggest in the MCU history. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
Want to hear more of our thoughts on Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness? Listen to our previous
Last
episode.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
So Graham, do you have any final thoughts on Moon Knight?
I don't. Really enjoyed it. And like in the end, like I feel like this is one of those shows I could just go back and watch.
Yeah.
Like right before, I didn't watch the full season again before this before recording. I watched it all, obviously, all as it came out week by week, but got a couple episodes in. But like I really could like just sit there and watch it. Like I had no issues keeping train of thought. Like a big part of me, like when I'm watching a show, if I've already seen the movie, if I've already seen the show, unless it's like one of my top favorites, like I just can't stay into it, man. Like I know what's coming. I can like remember things pretty well. So I'm just like I don't need to rewatch it. But this is one of those, like I could sit down and watch a show, no problem.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. Like I would love to see like future projects kind of get the same treatment of like, let's just take a character that not a whole lot of people know about. Because it's the first time where like even diehard Marvel fans are like, I know nothing about Moon Knight. So I'd love to like let's take some more obscure characters like this and just give them a fun season. I know we said final thoughts, but like, do you think he'll get a second season? Because as of right now, it's still a limited series.
I would say that's what I heard. Yeah. And like, I don't think Oscar Isaac has signed on for anything else so far. I really hope so. Because again, like they could do a lot following Jake, as we saw Jake at the very end there. We could get a little more tight. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. The ending is good enough
as
if it's a limited series, but I don't think it's satisfying enough to be the end. Like, I think it'd be...
Because they kind of set it up with Jake.
I need more Moon Knight. And more specifically, I just need more of like Mark and Steven like bantering back and forth. That's what I really need. I loved just all the banter moments. Like,
it was fun because they were like in the end almost felt like brothers. Like it was a weird bond, but it was so good. And going back and forth was fun to watch.
Yeah, it was. I'm speechless. I have nothing else to say.
Yeah.
We've said all the things. This has been the Popcorn Hangover. This has been the Popcorn Hangover.
Yeah.
I brain farted for a minute there. Check us out on all the things on Instagram, TikTok, Patreon, all at the Popcorn Hangover, and we will see you next time.